Is Miami 2023 Washington? Is Miami 2022 TCU? Or is Miami 2023 LSU and bound to trip up in one of their tougher games that they've got left this season?
I said on HQ this morning, I went with Washington. I'm going to stick with it because what are the tougher games left on this schedule? Like at least Washington had to beat Oregon twice.
So Syracuse,
Well, Florida State, obviously.
so Syracuse potentially could score. I mean, if Cal can score with Miami, Syracuse potentially could score with Miami.
I guess like it's after Thanksgiving, maybe they had a little too much. I mean, well, you know what? Honestly, what am I talking about? Miami's had to, fight to get past Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville. There's nobody in the country who they can't play a close game against. It's
Georgia. So I had Georgia when I was writing about this earlier. I said Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Those are two teams that if Haynes King is back,
if King, yeah.
But
maybe Duke. We disrespecting 6-1 Duke once again.
Washington is probably the right answer there. I was actually pretty impressed with Miami in that they just kept fighting back. Like you would thought, like you would think, okay, Louisville's thrown that punch, like that's a great counter punch. Now they're going to seize momentum, and Miami was like, no, we're just going to go down and score again. I thought Miami's O-line played really well today. Like when they needed it, they pushed Louisville around and ran for first downs. I mean, Shuck didn't play poorly, like he wasn't amazing, but 342 and a couple scores, like not awful. Now you might say, hey, Miami's defense has some real issues, and I think against the better teams, I would agree with that. I am probably one more week away from moving Clemson over Miami in my playoff projection, right? Because who would you favor in Charlotte? I kind of think I would favor Clemson, but I'm not sure on that. I still have Miami right now.
All right. Well, who would you favor and who would you pick is different because I've been picking Clemson as my ACC champion for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, they're kind of the same thing though, right? Who do you think should be favored in the game? Is basically who would you pick?
I have more confidence in Clemson right now because of the way it's playing compared to the way that Miami is playing, because Miami's playing down to teams a lot.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I also can't shake what Clemson looked like against Georgia. So I think I want to go with Clemson, but I don't know if I'm right in doing so, just to be honest.
Things that I really liked about Miami's performance here against Louisville, which, by the way, I had not really taken into consideration at the beginning of the season that, I was like, of course the schedule is going to get harder. Last year, Louisville, the whole bet was schedule super easy. And they take advantage. They make it to the ACC championship game, finish as the runner-up. And the schedule got a little bit shaken up with the addition of the new teams. So they didn't have all of the hard stuff that they thought they were going to have before the addition of Stanford, Cal, and SMU. But man, Louisville has taken a couple of conference losses. They are already 2-2 in conference play. They still have to play Clemson. They still have to play Pitt. Tough go for the Cardinals. And I mean, you've already gone out and you've already lost close to SMU. You've lost close to Notre Dame. You've lost close to Miami. I feel like this Cards team is battling. I feel like they did a lot of really good things in this game, to your point, bud. You're not Tyler Shuck, I didn't think was awesome. They made some bad mistakes, but also kind of made up for it, with the Colin Lacey kickoff return. So if you're going to try to play your damn Bud and his buzzwords, luck box has been in my head for 2 weeks. If you want to play the luck box game, check. They had a little bit of columns on both sides on this, but the story to me is just Cam Ward as a singular star who seems to, in these moments, in these super tight games, seems to inject a little bit of confidence and a little bit of just sort of overall, I've got control of this situation. We are going to go down the field and score. We are going to win this game. Those kinds of singular stars, that is the Michael Penix from Washington from last year, where with your experience, with what you were able to do with the ball in your hand, like that's how you go and win these games. So I mean, I see Miami winning every game that's left on the schedule. They could get tripped up, but I wouldn't pick it.
I mean, right now, based on what we're seeing from quarterbacks all across the country, you need somebody to make a play for you. Who's the one quarterback right now you're confident in?
The one
Cam
who's
Ward.
leading the number one offense in total offense and
Mhm.
scoring and everything else, who just like the dude just like he will make that mistake, but
Mhm.
he is also going to go get you 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Which-
Every
I mean,
single time.
him, Shador, Nuss. There's kind of a handful, I think, who are playing really well.
Yeah, but like he's just got that kind of it factor going right now where like I think if you look at the odds books right now, Georgia's the favorite to win the national title. And I get it because they've played 3 really tough games and they've won 2 of them. But just based on how the quarterback situation is, even if I don't feel like Miami's the best team, I feel like when you get into a sticky spot, he's the one guy I look at and say, "Okay, I trust him to be able to get me out of it." So it's like I feel like that gives them something of an edge. So that's why I kind of look at them as the Washington of last year because none of us thought Washington was the best team in the country.
God, we picked against them
Picked
every
against them
single
both the
week.
Oregon games.
Yeah.
And by the way, the irony of last year, Washington fans being mad at us for leaving Oregon ahead of them in power ratings even after Washington beat them. And now this year, Oregon fans being mad that Ohio State's still ahead of them in power ratings. But anyways, I'm getting off track. The only point I want to make was I think that in a season like this, where we don't truly have the elite, crazy, incredible, unbeatable behemoth of a team, the team with the quarterback that has capital I it might be the one to look at.
I think that's fair.
Tough road ahead for Louisville, who's a bowl team, but probably not a player in the ACC title race after losing this one. They fall again, you've got 5-0 Clemson. Clemson, by the way, 2 of their final 3 opponents in conference play are teams that went to 1 score with Miami. They still have to play Louisville. They still have to play Virginia Tech, and then they have to play Pitt. Has Pitt ever beat Clemson before?
Not that I can recall.
Not that I can really remember.
Not that I can remember. Definitely not in 2016 and 2021. They definitely don't have only a 2-2 record against the Clemson Tigers as an ACC member. Pat Narduzzi, famous line. I don't know what y'all are complaining about. Just go beat Clemson. His comment, by the way, when on divisional alignment before the divisions got blown up and everyone was complaining about being stuck in the Atlantic Division. Yeah, just go beat Clemson. Well, come on, we did it. What's the big deal? So we'll see how Oh yeah, and then Clemson. Any thoughts here?
Didn't watch a second of this.
Yeah, I didn't. I figured you'd be the one with your Clemson first half play who'd be able to tell us what happened in this game.